Hello, it is a very special Easter-themed episode of Sit Your Lich Ass Down. This is your host, Lich Ass Octavia, the horrible Archmage of Darkness and Despair. And we are going to be, after the pre-roll, talking about the Rankin Bass Here Comes Peter Cottontail. Now, I fucking love Rankin Bass stuff. Rankin Bass is just my jam, especially now that I at least can say that I had a brief stint of painting miniatures and stuff. I still do, it's more rare. And so now I kind of, like, not just aesthetically, but also, like, I don't know, like, craftily, whatever, arts and craft, whatever, like, just understands, like, how a lot of that shit was, like, made or whatever, and the miniature craft and whatever. I fucking love Rankin Bass. Not only because it's fun to talk about its, like, connections to old school anime studios and shit and anything. And well, that'll be more saved for, like, of course, Christmas or something. Though they did, of course, have several other holiday specials for other holidays. And maybe we'll talk about some of those at another point. And, of course, all of them have to mention Christmas at some point. And yes, Santa Claus does show up in this. But, yeah, I love Rankin Bass stuff, and so this is my first time, I guess, talking about it, so after the pre-roll, we'll get to that, because I do very much enjoy this Rankin Bass thing. There are Rankin Bass things I don't enjoy, but still kind of love, and then things I don't enjoy that I don't kind of love, but this is one of the things that I enjoy that's, I guess, something good enough for me to love. This is a very confusing train of thought. And yes, it is. But, hey, fucking, anyone's brain will be fucked up if they're spending Easter like me at the bottom of a fucking endless mimosa brunch bowl. But, fucking, yeah. For now, though, before we get into the meat of that, just wanted to shoot the shit about some other various things that have been on my mind and whatnot, and, like, well, I guess to get to some lighter stuff, I guess we'll talk about some Transformers, because us trans people, we're more than meets the eye, you see. But I love some Transformers, love Transformers, and just like how much I love Rankin Bass, I just fucking love Transformers. Transformers is just great, Transformers is life, Transformers is blah. But anyway, but sometimes it doesn't feel good to be a Transformers fan. Though, after some of these recent announcements we've gotten from Hasbro and shit, yeah, it kind of does. Probably doesn't to be a Power Rangers fan, considering that they're getting to NFTs and shit, and whatever. Ugh, God damn it. God. But that's besides the point. I do enjoy Power Rangers, but I don't really collect the newer toys, but anyway. I wish I could get into the Sentai stuff, like the toys anyway, and while I do occasionally watch Sentai shows, it's just always so expensive to import that shit. But that, again, besides the point. We've seen some new images of some new Legacy Transformers stuff, like we are taking some peeks at the new Motormaster and Minosaur, whatever, like, big shell thing where you fucking plug all the other Stunticon bits on. And, hey, we're finally getting Tarantulas. Yeah. Though, I kind of wish that they would have just skipped over and just having, fucking weird bio-organic, techno-organic tarantula motorcycle Transmetal 1 Tarantulas, though there's not Transmetal 2, but just to clarify. Yeah, that'd be really cool if we got that too, but for now we're just getting basically a big retool, sort of the Black Arachne mold, or at least that's what it looks like to me. Maybe it's not, maybe it's a mold twin, or whatever the fuck lingo they come up with, but anyway. Interestingly, the Minosaur is actually kind of the first time I give a shit about Minosaur. And Motormaster, I think, is cool that they're getting, like, the sort of, like, full, giant, big-ass Deceptileader, fucking box, fucking cut up with, having the big trailer that turns into the big fucking battle platform, very Prime like, very, a little bit on more like Scourge almost from Robots in Disguise 2001. But that's besides the point. It's really cool, and I actually really like this sort of very interesting way of how we're going to be having all of the different Stunticons sort of plug against the this sort of frame of the trailer of Motormaster that becomes the main body with Motormaster. But Motormaster, say that shit 5 times fast, and I didn't just now because I said it 3. But anyway, it's the first time I've really, Menasor is a cool, I think, design, but honestly, okay, here's the thing. Combiners, in my opinion, are, well, they can be good because they're fun and they're giant robots that combine. But I feel like that the Scramble City combiners from G1 are just sort of played out. But Menasor is like, I don't know, one of those that has some cool aesthetics and cool sort of semiotics about the aesthetics of the characters, and ain't that a lot of $5 and $10 words. But it's just cool. I never really got into the Combiner Wars thing because I didn't really like how that Menasor looked either. And God knows you were just fucking like disgustingly fucking wealthy with options of fucking third party Menasors and whatever the fuck kind of sores and ass sores and dick sores and whatever the fuck else. Even if you have no money like me, but the Scramble City Combiners are iconic. But honestly, I feel like there's just, even within G1, there are way more interesting combiner teams. King Poseidon, Leo Kaiser, fucking Abominus. I guess Predaking, I'm actually not that crazy about Predaking, but yeah, whatever. There's just, let alone when you get into like the Japanese Beast Wars stuff or whatever and whatnot, where you not only get King Poseidon again as God Neptune, but you fucking also get all sorts of crazy combiners and whatnot, fucking like Tripredicus and on the Maximum side Magnaboss and shit. But I don't know, just the Scramble City combiners are just as much of a relic as the G1 continuity at this time. Because I love the G1 continuity, of course. And I fucking, even though, of course, I'm certainly not old enough to be nostalgic for G1 proper when it was first released in the 80s, but the sort of G1 nostalgia hype of Classics '06 and the build up to the first movie, and like that causing the sort of boom of the beginnings of what we know as the start of the modern Transformers YouTube community. The G1 cartoon more reminds me of that in hindsight aesthetically. And whenever I was a young lad into Transformers reviews and such, I was already a Transformers fan, but it got me into the G1 cartoon and the movie, and yeah, it's fucking cool. Really, my mom is the one that got me into the G1 movie, but that's here nor there. And hell, I remember having some like reissue G1 toys myself. Man, I used to have an Encore G1 Prime reissue from Japan, and it was so nice. And like I still have the Prime, but let's just say that some really fucked up shit happens when it comes to like moving houses in the deep south and shit ass little fucking like storage lockers. And but that's another story for another day. But I've been slowly rebuilding a collection of mine, and yeah, I feel like I come from left to sort of speak my mind on Transformers, because that's totally what the fucking assholes out there are looking for. They're like, oh, what, you give Hasbro all your money this year? Well, I guess you have the right to talk, but I guess not because you're trans, or I don't fucking know. I don't know. Most Transformer fans are really fucking cool, and a lot of them these days are also trans and gay, so that's another really fucking cool thing. And Transformers can be women and non-binary and gay and fucking all sorts of crazy shit. Yeah. Oh, like, we stan a transgender RC in this fucking household. And also, Whirl is a trans girl, but that's here nor there. And Yeah, Transformers are in this weird state where it's like, on one hand, I want to be excited, where I'm like, oh yeah, that's fucking cool. But then it's like, well, we're just gonna fucking get like 8 versions of this because they fucked up intentionally because of scarcity, fucked up the releases on, X, Y, and Z figure. And not only are they out right now and are scalped, but when they hit stores, you won't find them for anything. And then those like main releases will get scalped, and then maybe 3 or 4 waves down the road, you'll finally get it. Like, I really want to get that Galvatron, but I still haven't. Because yeah, it's just really hard to find, and even now or whatever, there's like some supply issues and shit like that. Meh, but whatever. Even if hype trains die down, eventually these figures become semi-easy enough to where it really doesn't matter if you meet up with Wave, whatever's. Just, basically, you don't have to give your money for every single thing. You don't have to double dip if you want. And, support local, comic and toy stores that get these figures in. And they're the ones that'll probably hook you up with the best deals, if anything. Though, yeah, because of the many-headed nature of the beast, a lot of small shops have to compete within that sort of toxic space of speculative bullshit. And oh boy, trust me, I've been spinning around in the hellish wheels of card game culture for too long for that shit. I've already bled that blood once. Oh, but anyway, so that's aside for now the Transformer stuff. In other news, oh god, fucking Elon Musk and Twitter. Man, fucking, for one thing, okay, hating Elon Musk is a faux pas of a word for me. Because, yeah, I don't like him, but I don't know him. And it's clear that he's like a fucking rich, fucking playboy, celebrity wannabe, fucking rich person that is just rich because they are rich, and also because of, their family, and also because of their media presence as just existing as a rich person. And we all know from 2016 on the dark implications of where the fuck that can go. But it's like, some people are like, yes, yes, science daddy, fucking Elon Musk, save us from whatever the fuck on Twitter. But no, this is like, Elon Musk will probably not, like, one, it's not even confirmed yet. It's just fucking the offer right now. It's not, nothing's been sealed. I really don't want him to, but even if he did, he would probably just fucking give it to someone else at a certain point. Fucking hand the keys over someone fucking else, because, like, hell, he fucking wasn't even on that board of directors for 1 week until he willingly ejected himself off of it because he was like, fuck this. And it's like, fucking, like, fucking motherfucker could, like, end world hunger and shit, and he wants to fuck around with goddamn fanboys posting Tane on Twitter. Fuck. And but that doesn't mean that I have like some weird, it's like, oh, you, that Elon Musk, fucking, it's like, I don't choose to think about it, but it is really fucking tiring. And, oh god, it just feels like I've been on Twitter for a billion fucking years. Oh man, it is not a good time to be a Twitterite right now. Yeah. Um, yeah, and yeah, the news is also just fucking depressing, and the war in Ukraine is just fucking turning on, and just fucking shit like that, and fucking attacks from fucking both the right and the left now on us trans and gay people. I guess they really didn't like us having our fucking sacred wedding, marriage, gay unions for like the 5 or 6 years that gay marriage has been legalized, because now they're coming in on all fucking sides. And like they're a pack of chimps with erections or huddling around a big giant rotted pumpkin with holes in it or something. It's like, goddamn. Fuck. Ugh. I just fucking, but whatever. Though spring is all about rebirth and renewal, and for me, doing psychedelics and howling at the moon, and of course my favorite 2 times, or 3 times I guess, well, more like 2, because I don't really celebrate paganism much on Easter, but, we have not only 420 coming up, But also, at the end of the month, we got Valpurgisnacht, the Night of the Witches. And so, yeah, though my Night of the Witches will probably just be, I don't know, watching Adult Swim and eating snacks in my grandmother's living room while she's asleep late at night, because I'm probably going to be like celebrating her birthday, which is the 29th, the day before, and she's turning 83 this year. And yeah, so I'll be doing some really fun tarot shit alone at like 2 a.m. while I'm trying to fucking watch the same episode of Rick and Morty for the millionth time. But so there's my Night of Witches coming up. Um, I've been learning just sort of not much new with my guitar. I learned how to play White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. Though this is just sort of a relatively shorter episode after let's give myself a break after the long stretch of weird, or a couple sort of episodes in that I've literally only had 4 other episodes, and all of them have been weird attempts to codify a tone on this show. So it's like fucking, you know how the Lord rested on the 7th? Well, I'm doing one better, and I'm resting my fat ass on the 5th. And whatever. And I guess now it's Good Friday, and I guess I'm not supposed to work or do something on it, but I haven't been part of that religion since I was 11, so who gives a shit? And yeah, for anyone that is interested that doesn't know about the origins of the term Easter, it is actually a sort of, in the same way as Halloween and Christian were like re-envisions of pagan traditions by the early Catholic Church, similarly, the same thing happened here. Back in like ancient, medieval, pre-Christian Europe, they also like to do a bunch of gay sex and drugs to bring in the beginning of life being back in nature, and the resurrection of once was old that is now new again, and all that bullshit. And specifically like cults that worshipped Isis in like fucking like around ancient big ass fucking like Rome, where everything was just Rome. Though it's like connected, where it's like, yeah, you have Isis in Egypt, but and then you get Ishtar before her, even older than her, you know, Ishtar in Babylonia. But Ishtar was then later worshipped by the Vikings as Esther or Ostara, and Esther is also Easter. And so, yeah, it's like this big triad clusterfuck of all of these different religious beliefs about rites of spring that were then codified around an iteration of the maternal creation magic goddess Isis slash Ishtar slash Ostara, which is where we get rabbits and eggs from, and birds, of course, you know, all three things. They represent like sex and like the life cycle of life, death, and birth, and whatever, and all that shit, and all that goodness. And so, yeah, that's where we get your Easter. So, yeah, whenever you are painting Easter eggs with your kids on Easter, or the day before, or whatever the fuck, then just know that if like 3,000 years ago, the first Easter egg was probably just a boiled egg that was shoved up a cultist's asshole during a orgy of opium, weed, and other funky shit, or whatever they did while they fucked back in the old Bronze Age. So, yeah, happy Easter. That's the pre-roll. Great mealy-mouthed meatballs. It's fucking Easter. Yeah, happy Easter, everyone. It's your Eastery Ishtar, whatever, worshipping fucking Countess, Lichess, Sorceress, Octavia here, after the pre-roll now with our Easter special review of Here Comes Peter Cottontail by Rankin Bass Studios. And this will be more sort of, I guess, an abridged sort of summation of the movie. But, and also I'm going to make it kind of short, relatively. We've had several really long sort of focus episodes the last couple weeks. And in fact, after this episode, I'm pretty sure that, like, after the next one I do, I'll probably want to take, like, a week or two break and to just recharge and shit. because also my grandmother's 83rd birthday is coming up, and that lands on the days that I usually record on, and I'm gonna travel and spend some time with her and whatnot. But yeah. Anyway, Easter for me has always been a weird holiday because unlike say Christmas, where say a lot of the traditions for Christmas in our family we always do, not every tradition we've done for say Easter. And unlike my affinity for Halloween, another explicitly candy given holiday that has to do with another equinox season, it's like there are certain things about the holiday that I just never really cared to do or have been secondary to particular whatever is going on at the time. Though this year, so far I've had a pretty good Easter. I've got out and enjoyed the spring a bit. And my mom sold a shitload of homemade, like, ketogenic cupcakes, whatever, Easter cupcakes. So I helped, like, deliver those and shit. So that's it's been my Easter bunny duty, I guess. Um, and though I've had plenty of good Easters and whatnot, because there are many years of Easters under my belt, even though I'm not very particularly old. In fact, I'm pretty young, but I've lived quite a few of Easters, and yeah, there have been some really good ones. My favorite Easters were probably, of course, the ones when I was very especially little. Whenever I was like, say, even preschool and kindergarten and whatnot, and because for instance, like I remember, like one really funny memory from whenever I was in preschool is that I was given like there's like a chalk Easter egg in my basket. I didn't know it was an Easter egg that was made out of chalk. I thought it was like maybe like sweet tarts or something, or sort of like hard powder candy. And yeah, yeah, you can buy some hard powder candy in this fucking town, though I don't touch that shit. I'm only a weed and mushrooms kind of gal. But anyway, and so I bit down on the fucking chalk egg, and I'm just like, and yeah, but that also that Easter, I remember like actually ironically considering what I'm reviewing, it was a Peter Cottontail like themed like coloring book and watching the Blues Clues big musical movie whatever adventure thing on VHS. That was one early Easter I still very much remember. Another one was when I was in like early elementary school. Whenever the first Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Disk came out, I got that as just a randomly nice Easter gift that year, and I also like got the Yugi and Kaiba starter decks too. Both of them or whatever is at the same time, or all three of them at the same time. The no, I don't mean the starter decks that came out first that had Dark Magician and Blue Eyes as the cover cards. Both of these decks did have Dark Magician and Blue Eyes, though they were one of the tertiary holofoils. The cover cards were Kaiser Seahorse for Kaiba and Blackluster Soldier for Yugi, respectively. And yeah, so those are my super nostalgic Easter memories from when I was super young. I remember whenever I was like, I think maybe in fourth or fifth grade, maybe, I woke up with like a really bad earache or something or another. That was really fucking awful. But but yeah, Easter's is just one of them holidays that's been kind of give or take, and yeah, I do appreciate it. And while just like Christmas, I don't have any like Judeo-Christian like context or like association with the holiday anymore. And unlike Halloween that I associate with my paganism a lot, I don't do much paganism during the springtime and shit. Though I did like celebrate the spring equinox with CC the Warlock, and we watched Lord of the Rings on mushrooms, and I basically fucking like was able to leave the conscious of my body, and then only to wake up halfway through to be awoken with pizza, where only my arm and mouth I was willing to be like active or whatever, and I felt like I was this eating and shitting, farting mouth anus that fucking like chomp pizza, fucking puffed it out and then ate it again. So yeah, happy Easter. Yeah, and mushrooms are one hell of a thing, but I love them. So yeah, that's the extent of paganism in spring that I like. Psychedelics with my friends. But I just but as far as what as far as Easter means to me, as far as like spring is, a holiday of like rejuvenation. All that is, old is new again. And I think it's very telling, honestly. There's, I think, a lot of similarity with fall in general, with spring. It makes sense. They are the equinox holidays. It's like, it's sort of this like yin yang thing where there's life found amongst death and entropy in fall, but there's death found amongst life in spring. It's like the awakening of nature means the repetitive cycle of, life or birth, life, and death or whatever. Just like how the cycle of fall is symbolically about the end of life, the beginning of death, and the start of reclamation back within to nature. And both are about our existences very much perpendicular to the changes around us. Summer and winter are sort of oppositional stagnant seasons, like symbolically for me, though that is why they're not. That's how my headcanon goes, that why they're not called equinoxes, though there's probably another more scientific reason. But spring and fall are just about the cycles of moving on, and it makes sense because it's the two holidays we associate with the cycles of harvest and planting, and the changings of nature, the changings of oneself. And there's a lot to be grown, sown, and then reaped upon later in the year within spring and whatnot and all that shit. In other words, I really miss fall. And I really, really, really love fucking the idea that we're getting closer and closer to Halloween. Because technically, if you think about it, the month is already basically over. And so that means that there's only basically 5 months and change till the best time of the year for me. But, enough about another holiday. But this movie is also about the cycles of what you give, what you take, what takes from you, and the cycles of, even if tomorrow and yesterday are not spoken for or spoken for, you can like make a change and shit. Actually, it's not really the message. That's just what I'm interpreting to make it seem deeper than what it is. But the movie is ultimately about like making up for, losses and second chances and all that. Though honestly, within the Rankin Bass canon, now I love this movie and I would certainly put it in my top 5 movies of the Rankin Bass canon. And yes, there is a canon, not a official continuity. I don't really think, other than just certain specific sequels, whatever. But you can tell there is a canon, though it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with other Rankin Bass specials, other than the fact that yes, Santa does briefly, for a second, appear later on in the movie. But here, that's, I guess for later on in the discussion. So as we begin, it's basically, we get this fucking guy that is basically the dude from the fucking Santa Claus is Coming to Town, though not literally. He reappears ironically in the other Rankin Bass Easter special, and that one's not as good, but that's another day. This guy is basically sort of a clone of him, but not really. Except this guy's name is Sassafras. It's like he's this fucking bullshit like narrator dude that is voiced by Danny fucking Kaye and shit. And because of course that's the fucking kind of like singer fucking actor dude they would get or whatever. It's very Rankin Bass or whatever. A bunch of fucking who the fuck are they now kind of names that were popular almost a century ago in pop music and shit. But the point is, he fucking lets us know that there's secretly this fucking place called Easter Valley or Spring Valley. I can't remember. And they're fucking like, it's just Easter all the time. Or rather, it is always, no matter what time of day or year it is always the day before Easter. Or at least that is how it seems. And we get this fucking, old ass fucking like granddad rabbit or whatever who's like, I'm too old for this shit. And he fucking is about to appoint it to our protagonist, Peter Cottontail, and or something, because he's like recommended to him or something or another. And so that draws the ire of Irontail, who is voiced by Vincent Price, bisexual icon. And so he fucking is like, hey man, that's fucking bullshit and nepotism. And fucking, we need to do this fucking contest where whoever can deliver the most eggs on Easter should be the new Easter bunny. And so they agree that the next morning they're going to start, extra sharp and fucking do the thing. Though of course, fucking not Peter Rabbit. I'm gonna probably say Peter Rabbit a few times in this. Peter Cottontail does the dumbass thing and goes to a fucking swinging ass fucking like roller disco nightclub full of rabbits, where he presumably snorts angel dust off the ass of one of those Easter gnomes you see in decoration aisles for Easter, found fucking like that around this time of year nowadays. And fucking then he's all tired and drunk and stoned, not literally, and fucking he almost oversleeps, though he for certainly does, because his fucking clock, who is a Flintstone style fucking living bird that wakes his ass up, who would have woke his fucking drunk ass up on time if not for Irontail, who while Peter Cottontail's all passed out and shit, fucking like gives bubble gum to his fucking bird, and the bird can't fucking speak or breathe or whatever. I guess, it's good that it didn't fucking keel over and die and shit. That'd be maybe a little bit more concerning. I don't know. But anyway, he can't fucking wake Peter Cottontail up, and he misses the fucking contest, and Irontail is able to win because despite the fact that apparently no kid wanted an Easter egg from a weird iron-tailed Nazi Donnie Darko rabbit, they were able to fucking give an egg to a passed out homeless person under like a tree and shit, and so that counted as at least one Easter egg given, and so they win. And oh boy, there's songs in this, and I'm just gonna play the song that Vincent Price sings when he basically has his weird little Third Reich Easter Bunny speech about what he's gonna do to Easter Valley. Holy shit, fucking here. I'm just gonna.
Every tulip that needs tending will get a proper bending, and jelly beans will rot upon their heaps. All the hens who are expecting will get no more protecting, for in spring the Easter bunny always sleeps. And from this time forward, all Easter eggs shall be colored a shade of mud and new concrete. Instead of chocolate bunnies and chicks, I commission the candy sculptors to make tarantulas and octopuses. And I
Yeah, wasn't that crazy shit? Yeah, I hope that your chocolate octopuses and tarantulas are very Eastery this year. It's like fuck, like he's literally a fascist Easter bunny. It's like way to go to make me not want to root for goth bisexual Easter bunny Vincent Price. Christ, fucking who knew that they had fucking parlor accounts in fucking goddamn Easter Valley. Ugh. But honestly, the whole chocolate tarantula and octopus thing sounds pretty dope. A pretty non-fascist Easter should also include chocolate arthropods and invertebrate cephalopods. Because those are cool. And of course I would like, octopi and tarantulas and shit or whatever aesthetically, because I'm Octavia, of course. And I was born in October. And I have fat thorax like arthropod. Fuck, I don't know. But yeah, so everything is fucked, and everything is fucking just yeah. It's fucking Peter Cottontail's fault for being a dumbass who can't balance his fucking partying with fucking responsibility. It's like, fuck, like, as if there wasn't going to be yet another fucking, like, swinging, coked out disco rave at the fucking roller rink or whatever at fucking Easter Valley the next fucking night after Easter, especially on Easter night. Come on. But, so yeah, everything's fucked, and Peter Cottontail is all morose. And then, surprisingly, for one of these things, re-encounters, or at least for the audience anyway, this is the first time he's meeting him, Sassafras, who apparently has this trippy ass fucking like food dye garden, vegetable garden, and whatnot. With like fucking like red, white, and blue cabbages and shit. And because he makes and sells all these pretty dyes for Easter and whatnot. I don't fucking know. But this is the first. Usually the narrators in these things have fucking no impact on the story. And like he fucking like introduces him to this French caterpillar named Antoine, who's all wee wee and oh has Francois and all that shit. And fucking like fuck. Holy shit. Oh man, his design, the caterpillar, because the fact that he has given a vaguely humanoid face creeps me the fuck out. And oh Jesus, there's more of them in the movie. They're not French though. Sorry to my French viewers. French people are cool. But anyway, just that the weird uncanny caterpillars in this movie aren't. And he is like the pilot of this fucking like big to do fucking bullshit machine called the Yes Tomorrow whatever the fucker, and it can go either tomorrow or yesterday, aesthetically, theoretically, whatever, metaphorically, and where it can like travel through time. And the idea is to go back to before Peter Cottontail fucked up and missed the race, and give eggs before Irontail can, and thus win the competition to or whatever by like fucking having more eggs delivered and whatnot. Which that brings up a weird time conundrum that I'll bring up later. But the point is, oh boy, this is not the place you go to for congruent time mechanics. But this is it's not quite Interstellar being the fifth dimension is love and all that bullshit. But fucking whoa. It's like this is so loose of a fucking time traveling sort of thing that you might as well fucking, I don't know, put your head in a toilet and call that a fucking time machine and shit. Fucking, it's like, holy shit. It's looser than a truck stop whore at the outside of the outskirts of Easter Valley who has a fucking rabbit pussy the size of a fucking Easter basket. Fucking looser than that shit. And, and so now Irontail is like, fuck, I didn't think they'd do that, and sends like a rocket with a spider in it to like go up and then fuck up something to do like fucking with the wiring of the machine, which sends them crashing farther back in time in the previous year than they had thought. Which, considering the fact that like I don't know how the land travel works, because the places they go kind of work in the similar way as the Archipelago of Time Islands from Rudolph's Shiny New Year, where they're sort of their own little pocket aesthetic universes, where they're just these little, basically, diorama towns of various holiday themed characters, where each setting is the Easter Bunny trying to give eggs before Easter, because apparently there's no rule against it. There ain't no rule that a golden retriever can't be the Easter Bunny, but but at each time Irontail takes easy advantage over dumbass Peter Cottontail and fucking tricks him up. Usually it's like something like, well, I'm gonna go do this, and fucking Peter Cottontail walks off, leaving his basket of eggs behind, only like after almost assuringly getting them, either given to someone or is about to be given to someone, or he has to go do something else. And then fucking Irontail is like, yoink, and fucking does something with them, either takes them or turns them green, or fucking like has his bat Montresor to fucking like pick it up and fly away. And it's like you'd think that Peter Cottontail would learn this eventually, but anyway, the holidays are in this order. First, he gets sent ahead in time. Well, not ahead, but like the holiday after he gets sent to Mother's Day last, but like in the year, but like, bleh. He the order of holidays are as follows. Because he sent back time a year before that current Easter, he's sent to the Mother's Day after the Easter had already happened. It's actually not clear, but anyway. And so, fucking, they're like, Easter eggs? Where the fuck were you on Easter? Fucking, like, we don't want that shit. And then the next one is 4th of July, where he fucking tries to paint them up as 4th of July eggs. And, he could have just fucking sold them, or not sold them because he's not getting money. He could have passed them out just on that premise alone. But no, he has to get all Uncle Sammed up and fucking, like, get these two fucking, like, kids to be stupid enough to get these eggs, which they, for starters, aren't paying for. And because under the suspicion that they're fireworks somehow, even though kids should know what a fucking egg should not only feel but also look like. And yeah, it's like that's a little suspect. And so the kids fucking cracked the eggs, throwing them out on the ground, realized that they were duped, even though they didn't actually lose anything on the eggs. They were just given a bunch of eggs they didn't want. They fucking throw them back at Easter Bunny, and they're like, fuck you, man, we fucking see through your shit. And so they fly off, and Antoine is like, "Wee wee, it's never good to be a liar." Blah. I can't do good French accent, and so it's like, and honestly, if I was Peter Conte, I'd be like, "Fuck you, man, I'm trying." But then it skips all the way to, frankly, the best part of the movie, which makes me ache for a Rankin Bass special for this. It's basically a Halloween setting. Another holiday they visit is Halloween, and it is like the only time you ever see any kind of Halloween aesthetic to anything in Rankin Bass. Because the Easter Bunny, I think, is referenced once or twice in other specials or something. And of course, in this special, not only is there's this special, but there's a whole ass other Easter special that's straight up a rip off of Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and again, literally has the narrative dude from that. And except there, he has a fucking train. But anyway, yet there's not one fucking Halloween special under Rankin Bass's belt. And you know what? It would have been really good. Now, you would maybe ask yourself, well, wait a minute, can you just fucking watch Nightmare Before Christmas? And yeah, I guess I could, and I usually do, but only during Halloween or Christmas, or occasionally when I'm just like, ooh, I just want to see something pretty and Halloweeny throughout just a random bit in the year. Though honestly, I have far better picks than that or whatever and shit. Like, say, the Halloween tree, which this October, me and you, man, as in you, the listener, who probably in some cases aren't actually a man identified person, but please bear with me. I'm gonna fucking break Halloween tree right over your fucking head this October. But anyway, I love Halloween tree. But yeah, the Nightmare Before Christmas movie exists as a stop motion movie with Halloween aesthetics, and it's certainly inspired by like Rankin Bass stuff, obviously. But we've never gotten any kind of like, Rankin Bass styled aesthetic Halloween stop motion anything, because Tim Burton and Rankin Bass are very two different styles, even if one takes inspiration from the other. But here, like, we have this like fucking like beautiful like low lit sort of setting with this sort of orangey yellow moon in the sky, and there's this witch that initially is trying to spook the protagonists away from there and whatnot, because they apparently know Iron Tail and was on the phone with them, and she's like, oh yeah, you betcha, I'll scare the who out of them and all that shit. And then, like, when she realizes, man, y'all fucking aren't gonna be scared of me. Y'all shouldn't be fucking, like, happy to be around me. I'm a fucking witch. And honestly, same. And so she's given a Halloween egg, an orange and black one that honestly at this point is fucking more lead than a 50s Bears school building in America or something. Considering all the paint that's been, all the layers of paint that have been put on it. Or even worse, imagine if fucking Peter Cottontail is trying to strip all these shit in like, I don't know, fucking simple green or purple power or some shit like it was fucking Warhammer miniature and then reprimed and repainted. They'd be pretty fucking fast if they did and shit. I'd like to know how they'd be able to prime something out in the open in certain weather conditions, but that's here nor there. And so he gives her the Halloween egg, and she's like, "Oh shit, I fucking love this, man. I'm gonna get all my friends, all my gay ghoul friends and ghosty friends down here on their broomsticks, and we're gonna get all of them an egg and whatever. This is fucking badass." And then here's the thing where Peter Cottontail's like, "Oh, that sounds fun," and they get caught up in all the excitement, and he fucking flies around too or whatever on a broomstick, and then all of a sudden, yoink! Montresor the Bat, the familiar of Iron Tail, fucking snatches them up, and it's like, fuck, man, it's like this is like the second time that shit has happened or whatever, and it's like fucking. Well, actually, no, I think scratch that. Later on, this also happens again several times. This actually, it would be the first time in the story that specifically had happened. But even still, you'd think he'd be a bit more protective of them. But later on, there is no excuse for him basically falling for the same shit in other holidays. So he can't give the eggs to the spooky ghost and witch lady and whatever. Fucking, I mean, so basically, you can't give the eggs to the witch or her spooky ghost friends, and so they have to leave because trying to like get all of the eggs out of the air that are falling from the flying bat, it requires them to get up in their machine, and so they're in the air. And Antoine's like, we cannot turn back, oh, and all that. And so then they skip over to November, and like then everyone's like, oh man, I can't fucking eat another bite because it's Thanksgiving and shit. Though honestly, like he could have sold them as Thanksgiving eggs or whatever if he like fucking I don't know had just waited around in just for like a month. Though as that's assuming that regular time works here because each of these holidays is kind of like their own separate little pocket universe of holiday aesthetic, and so it's not actually really like shown whether or not they're all connected other than just the star laden like fucking like sort of journey that you have to take in the air through time on the fucking trippy ass fucking like time machine that Antoine and Peter Cottontail have, and like who knows. So they leave the Thanksgiving area like dimension whatever, and like they hop over like all of these, by the way, you don't actually see what landmass these are, by the way. Each time they go to a different holiday, it's literally they fall through a page from a calendar and they just fall on the land that is below it and shit. And so like they get to Christmas and they encounter Santa Claus, who is, it's Christmas Eve, and of course he's naturally on his flight, and he doesn't really help out per se. He helps get them on the way after escaping Iron Tail at the end of the Christmas scene, but ultimately Santa Claus is a very non sort of part of this movie. And honestly, I'm glad too, because yeah, there's so much Christmas Rankin Bass stuff. It's nice to enjoy something that only has at least a smidge of Christmas referenced in it, instead of it being like still a part of the movie in some weird way, like some non-Christmas things are with Rankin Bass. And so they're able to like initially get down and try and sell them as Christmas eggs, as like he's sort of like dressed in a Santa suit, like a like he's like a Salvation Army and whatnot. And that doesn't work because everyone's indoors already because it's Christmas fucking Eve and night. And so he's all down, and he notices that there's a last minute Easter bonnet never bought in a hat store in this town that he's in, and which presumes that this town does experience other holidays. but no one wanted it. No one wants a Easter bonnet at Christmas, and so it's sad because it's, yes, a talking Easter bonnet, literally named Bonnie, who knows Peter Cottontail, presumably because she was, I guess, made, birthed, whatever, in Easter Valley. So he tries to sell his Easter, or rather Christmas eggs, to the lady at the store because he has no money to get Bonnie so she doesn't have to spend Christmas Eve alone. And she's all like, Christmas eggs in December for Easter or whatever, and it's like, yeah, whatever. And she was going to get them, but yet again, he had to fucking leave them outside, and then Irontail comes by and just snatches them up wholesale and shit. And fucking, now again, at the end of this, thanks to Santa Claus, he's able to get his eggs back, but he has now had to leave the Christmas land, and dumbass himself fucking can't pilot the machine on his own because he left Antoine basically to fucking freeze in the cold in the Christmas area and the Christmas land, the Christmas town, whatever. And so, like, we then cut through a short scene where it describes how he wanted to be the New Year's bunny to try and get that done, taken care of, but he didn't know how to fucking stop the machine, and so, or at least not in time for him to stop, so he just passed on. Then we get to Valentine's Day of the year that the Easter that begins in the beginning of the movie would happen, whatever, and he finds there's like a girl bunny at this like ice rink Valentine's Day party, and and this is the one song sung by Casey Kasem, the voice actor of the rabbit himself, Peter Cottontail, and it close your eyes, it sounds straight up like Shaggy, or if you want, pretend it's Cliff Jumper from the Transformers fucking saying it or something, but yeah, it's here or there, it's too heterosexual for my blood. And so, and this is the scene where he fucking leaves his eggs alone, and then Irontail turns them into fucking green eggs, and that makes the girl bunny sad because those are supposed to be eggs given to her, and so, that ends that scene. And so then, like, there's this, like, weird, kind of trippy, kind of out of nowhere scene where we, from Sassafras's perspective, because the whole time he's narrating while watching the movie through his crazy drug kaleidoscope Easter egg thing, and so he does another little ditty, another little song or whatever that's different slightly from the first one when we see him with Peter Rabbit for the first time early in the movie. And this one, though, is about like the meaning of life and challenges that beset you, and the unknown face or whatever. And it literally shows this weird like ring of fucking horrifying clay like rabbit face egg statues that encircle Peter Rabbit, like in this like sort of dream sequence, song sequence, and they look kind of like rabbit valets from Berserk, and you're just like, what the fuck? It's like, Christ, did he really have to give up the Band of the Hawk to become the Easter Bunny that desperately? It's like, shit, man, fuck. But fucking, it's the crux of the movie where fucking like of the tension and at the climax, basically where Peter Cottontail is like being like, man, I fucking like, there's only one more like holiday before Easter, and I haven't been able to get one egg taken and actually kept, and who wants to have green eggs? And then, shocker of shock, dun da da da, here's the answer, fucking March, St. Patrick's Day, and he's able to give all of his eggs away out during a St. Patrick's Day parade because they're green eggs, and just for the novelty of it, free green eggs, even though they're fucking toxic as hell from all the fucking paint, and you sure shit wouldn't want to eat year-old fucking Easter eggs, but just he's able to actually, like deliver them, and they stay delivered, and that retroactively means that Irontail is fucked, and his plan is totally fucking, like, gone, and he is paradoxically not at all at any time granted the title of Easter Bunny, and so the day is saved, even though that doesn't, like, what happens to original Peter Cottontail and Irontail, because Irontail is able to travel just freely between the time zones, the holiday zones, whatever, and shit. And he is this same Irontail that is now a fucking like garbage collector and whatnot, prisoner of the fucking Easter Bunny now, and shit. And Papa Rabbit fucking gives the title over to Peter Cottontail, who's now the Easter Bunny. But what the fuck happened to the Easter Bunny of that day, who is still at his own home in bed asleep? Does he just disappear, or is he still there? It's just, of course, you don't have to think about it too hard, but it's just a funny thing to think about. So yeah, there's just that's basically how the movie ends. It just sort of does. It just sort of is. And it's, and then I go, the fucking Danny Kaye voice of Sassafras goes, "Here comes Peter Cottontail, coming down the bunny trail," or I don't fucking know. And, cue credits, the end. And yeah, that's the movie. And, Easter is saved and all that. And yeah, this is a fun little movie. It's 50 minutes long, roughly. Yeah, there's nothing really, like, weird or even maybe a little, I don't know, outdated, like some Rankin Bass things can have. I'm looking at you, Jack Frost. That's for another day as well. And so, yeah, just, it's not a bad movie. Show it to your kids. Or if you fucking, don't have kids, or you'd rather have some alone time away from your kids this Easter, light a fucking bowl, get some fucking mimosas going, fucking get shit faced and watch this fucking cartoon. It's really pretty. It's fucking achingly beautiful, and it's a nice palette cleanse contrast between the usual Christmas stuff, because you all these bright colors and these foresty Easterscapes, and yeah, it's great, man. It's fucking beautiful. The eggs are all pretty. Everything's bright and colorful. It's just a nice film to look at. And yeah, it's fucking makes you feel good, or at least you do if you're like me and fucking smoke weed all day and boof Cymbalta and fucking funnel all my emotions around cartoons, the healthy way. And just, yeah, just it's a fun movie. And now there is a sequel to it, to this movie specifically. Now that one, oh boy, I remember it actually aired on Cartoon Network one Easter season. I think it was actually the April before the May that would have been the first and only month of Miyazaki on Toonami, if I'm remembering my timelines correct, because I remember advertisements on TV for that, like during like this late Easter time that year or so, that it aired on Cartoon Network, and then that following May was the month of Miyazaki. So yeah, and except this fucking sequel movie is no Ghibli movie. It is a CGI holy shit cringe fest. And fucking, like, Sassafras is in it, though he looks like some weird Willy Wonka knockoff, voiced by fucking Doc Brown for some fucking reason. And, like, Peter Cottontail, who has a son in this, who the son is the protagonist, but Peter Cottontail is voiced by Tom Kenny. And now Irontail is in it, though the real fucking, like, actual true villain of the movie, quote unquote, is like this weird, sexy snow lady. Looks like, I don't know, fucking some uncanny CGI vaporwave Bratz demon from hell. Hashtag obsessed. Maybe that'll be for next year. Maybe it'll be for another day. So yeah, that's the end of the episode. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry it was a little later than usual, though I guess it fits because this will be going up Easter Day. Late probably, and if not, then certainly early the next day. If you can't catch this for Easter, fucking watch it on 420, smoke a big bowl, I don't fucking know. And hope everyone has a safe 420 at that. And the message to take away from the movie, honestly, is this. Spring and tomorrow and today, maybe once in the future, yesterday, but that doesn't mean that we can't look forward to tomorrow, because every day moves forward and we can make up for like the losses of the past, and we can move forward, because if we could just have a second chance for yesterday, I'd be so good to you today. Have a good one. Happy Easter 2022. This is the Lich S signing out. Bye.
Mr. Sassafras? But I didn't give you everything. Huh? If I could only get back to yesterday, today would be a perfect day. If I could only get back to yesterday, oh, the different things I'd do and say. I'd be a different man if I had a second chance, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? I'd make a special plan if I had a second chance, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? If I could only get back to yesterday, today would be a perfect day. If I could only get back to yesterday,